In this video, we are going to show that food can change behavior and the dramatic impact that can have on the individual and therefore the criminal justice system and the education system. This material is based on the work of Barbara Reed-Stitt and how she created revolutionary results as a Chief Probation Officer and advisor to schools, all based on her own personal discovery that she could heal herself with food. Look at the documented effect of certain allergies on the capacity to perform a simple task. This is not to imply that all criminal behavior and poor performance in school only has to do with the choice of food, but you will see that is by far the most important factor. Let us look at the incarceration rates from countries around the world: Australia, India, Nigeria, Europe excluding Great Britain, Argentina, Canada, and the United States. Let's compare the whole world to the United States. The US does not have to be the leader of the world in this aspect. In comparing student performance around the world, the United States barely ranked in the upper half. Note the high percentage that scored very low and the low percentage that scored among the high performers. In the national security NSA competition among some of the brightest on the planet when it comes to computer programming, the vast majority came from China and the former Soviet East Bloc. Only 3% came from the United States. Does it have to be this way? Can we do something about it? Here is Barbara Reed-Stitt.
I worked as a probation officer for 20 years, and during that time discovered that the body chemistry was extremely important in affecting the behavior, and correcting it made such a difference. Actually, when I went down the list of foods that people were consuming, they were the addictive foods: high sugar, white flour, what we consider junk foods. And as a result, the brain was being deprived of nutrients that it needs to have good judgment. We corrected the diets and got them exercising and eating beautiful, organic, fresh, whole foods, vegetables, fresh fruits, whole grains, fish, eggs, nice proteins, and drinking water. And it was amazing. Over a space of 12 years, 89% of the people did not get back in trouble. And what this compares with is typically people placed on probation or parole the first year, 60 to 75% or 80% of the people get back in trouble. So it reversed it. It's very basic, and it's something that should be done and looked at very carefully. We ended up providing foods in a school, an alternative school, that was so out of control that they had a police officer on staff with a gun. All we changed were the foods. In 2 months, they had no discipline problem. And in the 5 years that we continued to provide the foods for the students, not one of those students got into trouble. It works. It's basic, but we need to look at it. And most counselors don't give this a second thought of asking people, what did you have for breakfast? And what did you have the rest of the day? It needs to be live foods, because everything you put in your mouth affects the frontal part of your brain, and that's where the judgment is.
In June 1977, Barbara's work was featured on the front page of the Wall Street Journal. She was called by Senator McGovern to testify for a Senate Select Committee. This began a media frenzy. She was a guest on all key shows like Phil Donahue, That's Incredible, among many, and also interviewed by most major magazines and radio stations. She even made it into Playboy and the prize of them all, the National Enquirer. She traveled to all states and provinces in the United States and Canada and lectured 30 to 40 times per year for the next 16 years. Let us look at some of Barbara's old media appearances.
Candy criminal is like a phrase that has been linked with a very special lady. You know, we don't normally have guests on the show, but seeing her and meeting her and knowing about her work meant that we should fly her here from Ohio so that you all can meet her. Barbara Reed is her name. She is a probation officer, and she has been for 18 years. She's developed a very unique approach towards rehabilitating her cases. She is with us today to tell us all about her life. I'd love you to give an incredible welcome to Barbara. Come on, Barbara!
In 1962-63, I was extremely ill. Exhaustion, chronic exhaustion, and having mental blanks, and I was really in bad shape and was consuming a great deal of coffee and a great deal of sweets. And when I corrected my diet, all those symptoms just disappeared. So I started asking the people that I was working with what they were eating. That's how it started.
The effects diet may have on our personalities.
Some researchers believe that there's a connection between crime and bad eating habits. Pay careful attention, or you might just wind up like the candy criminals we found in Ohio.
To appear in court, and that's where Dave Brown's story really begins.
Dave might have been convicted and sent to jail.
His case came before a judge who was involved with a special program. The program deals with the effects of nutrition on behavior.
The judge suspected that what Dave Brown needed was special counseling and testing. This is where Ohio Probation Officer Barbara Reed entered the picture.
I'm a firm believer in the program. I know that it works. It has worked since I've been on the bench, and I hope it continues to work. There are, of course, those that, who are going to commit crimes and who are going to repeat committing crimes. And it's not because of diet or anything else. It's from a different reason other than diet. But those that we can detect and catch the first time, hopefully, probably will not be repeating. And they may not have been here in the first place had they been doing things properly.
We found that 89% of the people that we'd worked with did not get back in trouble. And any time that you can prevent somebody from getting in trouble, you help the community, you help the courts, you help the families, you help the individual. And I'm for that.
If I wouldn't have got the help from Miss Reed, Dr. Barron, Judge Beers, I would probably be in a mental institution, or I would probably be dead.
In January of 1997, I visited Central High School as a prospective employee and observed the students that were housed here at the time and found them to be rude, obnoxious, very crude, and ill-mannered.
I was brought over to the school because the school was out of control. They were having a lot of problems with rebellious students, weapons violation, things of that nature. So they wanted a cop on school premise at all times.
Since we started the program, the Nutrition, the Natural Ovens program, with the complete diet, the balanced diet, I have seen a total change in the students and the environment within the school. It's amazing.
Now that I actually have a job here, I was hesitant once again to start and found that the atmosphere is entirely different. The students are calm, they're well behaved. I don't have to deal with the daily discipline issues, out-and-out disciplining of students. That just isn't an issue here.
On the state report, they include information regarding the number of dropouts, expulsions, drugs, weapons, suicides. Since we've started this program, zeros is what I have had to report. It's a pretty nice report to fill out.
Healthy food has had more of an impact than we thought. We believed that it would help settle the kids down, which it has done, but I think we were surprised the impact it's had on academic learning.
When we started the healthier foods in the alternative high school, and we noticed that all of a sudden the attendance rate had gone way up. Our dropout rate last year, only 16 students dropped out of 4,500 high school age students.
I can't buy the argument that it's too costly for schools to provide good nutrition for their students. I found that one cost will reduce another. I don't have the vandalism. I don't have the litter. I don't have the need for high security.
We've cut $5 million out of our operational budget in the last 2 years.
Let's take a look at the things that kids are consuming during the day. These kinds of junk foods, fast foods, that are doing very definite harm to their bodies. The soda, the sugar, 56 teaspoons at least in this 2-liter bottle, which some kids consume in one day's time. Let's take a look at the kinds of foods children should be eating, the fresh whole grain foods, to start the morning, to get that energy going so that they feel good and they're alert throughout the day. Whole grain cereals, nice good proteins, fresh fruit, the whole grain breads, whole grain muffins, bagels, great granola bars, the wonderful omega-3 that gets the brain going for the whole day.
I believe in 3 or 4 years, every school in the country will be into a nutrition program, because the more schools that are going in that direction, they're seeing it does make a difference.
Hi, I'm Reverend Charlotte McGinnis, and I'm founder of the Namaste Center in Hendersonville, North Carolina. I'm also an ordained interfaith minister in the Alliance of Divine Love Ministry. I'd like to share with you a very exciting opportunity, and that is how you can support a project that is so worthwhile in today's world. And that is to support Barbara Stitt in her launching or relaunching of her wonderful book, Food and Behavior. Barbara is an example of what eating well and living well can do to help you not only age gracefully as she has. She's 85 years old and she is a testimony to her work. But more important than that is that children are eating so horribly these days. The food, fast food and the prepackaged processed food is creating not only obesity but also behavioral problems. And Barbara has devoted her life's work to this wonderful project. Now there's many ways that we can support this and get this word out globally. And one of the ways is you can go to the website foodandbehavior.com and read all about this wonderful book and her wonderful work. So I really encourage you to take a look at what you can do to support Barbara and this project. I hope you'll join me in supporting this, as I know that one child at a time we can make a better world together. Thank you so much. Namaste.
A very large percentage of the people that are incarcerated are there because of their addictions, and they really don't know what happened to them. When something as basic as lots of sugar and cola and junk foods in their diets can screw up their lives to a point that they are arrested. Just imagine one of your loved ones getting into trouble and ending up in prison because of the addictions, and nobody is helping them get away from the addictions. It's very, very, very important that this message get out to people, because it's so basic and it's so real. I've lived it. I know what happens. Each individual is the only one that can do that. And I pray literally that you will take this to heart. If you try it, you'll find it works. If you do it yourself, once we experience something, nobody can tell us it didn't work. I experienced it. If I hadn't read that book and changed my diet, I would not have been here. I probably may have lasted till I was 50, but it would have been such a painful, painful, constant sickness. Thank God I read that book, and thank God he wrote that book in 1959, and I found it in 1963. Because of it, I've had a life that has been absolutely amazingly wonderful. And I thank you for listening to this. Bless you.
The purpose of this campaign is to raise the resources to inform and empower everyone who can benefit from this knowledge, especially those involved in the criminal justice and education systems. Each $35 donation will send a matching food and behavior set to a criminal justice professional, a decision maker in the education system, or a library in your area. The food and behavior set consists of an updated food and behavior, workbook, DVD, and a CD. Barbara Reed-Stitt has already donated 12,000 copies of the book Food and Behavior to prison libraries around the country. Together we can give individuals and the systems that support them a proven tool to create balanced bodies and healthy behavior. It's good for the individual, their families, the community, for all of us. Thank you for listening.